Hello, friend. Thank you for coming and spending these few moments here with me. I truly hope you are doing well and that after you spend next number of minutes with me, that you are going to leave feeling even better. I have a special announcement near the end, so stay tuned. But today I am going to read you a story I wrote some time ago. It is appropriate for children and adults. So if you have children, be free to pause the video and ask them to come and to take some time and listen to a story. If you do not have children or you want to spend this time on your own, perhaps make a beverage of your choice, tea, coffee, or hot chocolate, or perhaps just take a glass of water. Sit comfortably and enjoy. The Great Arrival. Once upon a time, there was a little Italian village. It rested behind the Alps on the slopes of a nearby mountain. It had 30 houses, most of which were full, with 2 or 3 empty ones, and many narrow streets that led to secret corners of the village. Each of these secret corners had a treasure. The villagers were all very unique characters, and each could tell a story on its own and keep you awake all night, waiting to hear more of their adventures. It was a late January evening. Snow covered the Alps, yet the village was calm, warmed with the evening light coming from its houses. The lanterns on the streets lit around 4 p.m. and magic spread in the air. It was the evening of the Great Arrival. Everything seemed ready. The atmosphere was filled with sweetness and delight. Yet no one was around. The streets were empty. No one appeared to be in sight. As I walked along the upper street in a search of a story to tell, I glanced at a shadow running towards one of the empty houses, and tender music followed it like soft footsteps in the night. Old Piero lived close by. He was the oldest among the villagers. No one knew how old he really was. Old Piero was one of the only 2 village dwellers who ever left the Alps and lived in the faraway lands. His adventures were most mysterious, and children loved gathering around his table, watch him cook a meal, for he was a famous cook, and tell a story from his younger days. But this night, his house was quiet, light gently lit in his living room, while he sat in the armchair reading a book. The shadow I saw wasn't his. It was someone else's. Did the Great Arrival come early? Or did the village have another unexpected visitor? I was too curious not to have a look. What follows is beyond my wildest dreams, and even if I tell you, I am not sure you will believe me. Meanwhile, in the cloistered garden at the foot of the mountain, at the very entrance into the village, fireflies gathered to prepare their dance for the Great Arrival. They came from neighboring woods, together with other animals. A song thrush was leading the choir of birds into a harmonious song that filled the air with joy. One little robin, however, flew to the top of the village, unnoticed, just towards the street where I saw the shadow. The affectionate music that I heard was Robin's song. He sang it softly, as if not to disturb some mysterious event that was too sacred even for his beautiful song to accompany it. When he saw me, Robin flew to my shoulder and sang softly into my ear, whispering a secret of the shadow, an encounter that will surprise even the most intuitive souls among us. I did not wish to linger too long in the upper part of the village in case I missed the spectacle of the great arrival, which was to start soon in the garden. Yet I wanted to explore what Robin told me. And even though I knew I probably should not venture into this endeavor, I let time slip from my mind for a little while. Just as I was to wander off, someone or something grabbed my shoulders with a strong twist so that I could not move. Fear spread all over my body. I did not dare to look or move. The grip spoke through touch beyond words. It did not allow me to go anywhere. There was a fresh breeze in the air, but the chill I felt did not come from it. Slowly, the hand that held my shoulder directed me to turn around. Hesitantly, with almost a terror in my breath, I did as I was instructed. As I turned, my fear melted into a smile. What a surprise! It was him. Only now I understood Robin's song. And this is his song. I have put my words in your mouth and have covered you with the shadow of my hand. I who set the heavens in place, who laid the foundations of the earth, and who say to Zion, you are my people. Robin sang of God's dwelling place. In this fairy village, Zion, one of the hills of Jerusalem, was known as the place where God dwells. This goes back to the old tales the villagers used to tell of ancient visitors from faraway countries that brought flavors to their streets. Some of the visitors came from the mountains around Jerusalem. They brought spices, pottery, and stories from their culture. Those stories created a spark in old Piero and made him leave the familiarity of home and embark into travels and exploration of the world beyond. Had I known all of this, the sacred encounter would prove far more significant than I already knew it was. There was a strong resemblance between the Jerusalem hills and this cobbled little place, since our village was built on a hill as well. And today, of all days, the Most High chose this village for its dwelling place. A delight spread through my whole being, an urge to run down to the garden and notify the villagers, but I could not disturb the preparation for the great arrival, and even he would not want me to do that. No, this news will have to wait on its appointed time. As I stood there, his deep, bright, wise eyes rested on mine. Their gaze penetrated through my soul, reading through the secret passages of my heart. only he could have known, and gently lit a fresh light in my core. Now it seemed like I had a lantern burning in my soul. I understood beyond understanding that each heart will receive its own inner lantern this night. This comes with the unexpected arrival of the great light. Suddenly I heard cheering and shouting mixed with the sweet song of the birds. The great arrival must have finally come. Before he could stop me, I ran through the streets towards the gate of the walled garden. I peeked through the entrance and stood in amazement. It has started. Though the night was thick, the garden was filled with light coming from hundreds of fireflies. They gathered and danced. A soothing melody spread with their movement. The trees were singing. Fireflies brought their light to each tree, each bush and flower waiting to bloom. One firefly came close to a bud on a tree next to me. As her light touched the bud like a soft caress, the bud burst into a flower, softly, elegantly, with delight. The fireflies, one by one, went to each little bud on every tree in the garden. It was a symphony of beauty. Many buds became flowers that night. As fireflies shed their light on the buds, the trees burst into blossoms. For these trees could blossom only when lit with a light warmed within a firefly's heart. The sunlight was important for their growth, but they would not blossom in it. When fireflies finished their dance that night, it was clear. Spring has come. Old Piero stood in the garden on the other side of the gate, not far from where I was. His face shone with a gloriously happy smile. He knew that as spectacular as the great arrival has been, this evening brought far more than the coming of spring. He knew what I glanced on that upper street, meeting the shadow in the night. God has visited his people tonight. The end. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments and do share with others. I said at the beginning that I have an announcement. Well, I wrote a book for children and I'm working very hard in order to get it to be published. That's all I can say for now, but stay tuned, and over the next weeks I am gonna say more about it. But for now, if you would like more stories, subscribe, and I will see you in the new video.